many of you new people, guys? Like you are not part of Power BI course here, joining only for Azure.
Me,
Yeah.
Rohit.
Mhm. So you're already working on Power BI?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So in your organization, they are using Power BI Azure also?
Uh, no, but
Mhm.
upscaling myself, I want to learn that.
Okay, great.
Yeah, hi, this is Banu. So I'm working for the Power BI, but in
Okay.
my project they are required the fabrics itself, data lake IDF and fabric.
Okay. Fabric also they are using now.
Yeah,
Okay.
we need to migrate from Azure Data Lake to Fabric Data Lake.
Mhm. Data lakes also they are using now.
Yeah, Data Lakes also there.
Mhm. Anyone similar kind
Data
of
Lake
things
to
like
Fabric
who?
Data
Mhm.
Lake.
Okay, got it. Anyone similar kind of already using Power BI and just want to upgrade yourself for Azure and Fabric?
Hi, sir. I'm
Yeah,
Rao.
yeah, hi, sir.
It's a very good morning.
Good
So,
morning.
I'm having this experience in Power BI. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working in that.
Great.
And I have this data analytics also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I would like to upgrade of this skill of this Azure and as well as for this Fabric.
Yes.
So, I want to know for this. So, eagerly
Mhm.
waiting for this session.
Okay,
So,
okay.
what is
Thank
there
you.
just for
Yeah,
upskilling one?
sure, sure.
Okay.
Got it, sir. It will help you. So nowadays,
Thank you.
like frequently it's a changing. Even there is a new topic called Copilot also coming to the picture in Power BI. Just by using your prompt also, it will give the basic dashboards and all. So lot
Yes,
many
yes, yes. I have
feature
done
we are
this. I
getting.
have done.
So we
Yes,
are going to be discuss all those things.
please. Thank you
And
very much.
who already holding nearby 20 lakhs package and you want to looking for an exchange, you guys can plan even data engineering, Azure data. This Azure and Fabric will help you to upskill yourself from data analytics point of view and to reach
Okay.
the maximum package 25 easily. After 25, it will be difficult with the only this
Yeah,
curriculum.
yeah.
You need to add a
Yes, yes.
PySpark, Python also.
Yes, yes. Understood.
But as a good start after Power BI, after working or else after just learning Power BI from somewhere, so there are a couple
Hmm.
of people who just learn SQL and Power BI because still most of the institution they are teaching only SQL and Power BI. So
Yeah.
nowadays market they are expecting Azure and a Fabric, right? So you can add those
Yes.
two topics here.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm having this certification of the PL300 for micro PE also.
Mhm.
And it's okay. Okay.
Good
Thank you
thing.
very much.
So later you need to be practice more projects along with the projects we are anyway teaching in the live also, and also we will give some additional projects for your practice so that you can do your own practice for Power BI.
Yes.
As we are already providing license also, Power BI premium license also we will provide even the students who join for only Azure and Fabric.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
yeah. Any questions, guys, for new boys? Anyone joining here?
Hey, hi, sir.
Yeah,
Hi,
hi,
this sir.
Shashank.
I just joined today is my first session.
Okay, okay.
So basically, I'm working as a business analyst, so I have like good command on SQL and like introductory part. And I'm aware about the Power BI basics,
Mhm.
but wanted to like switch my career from like business analyst to like Power BI or data analyst. So that's why I'm joining this course. So my
Mhm.
main concern is like. Uh, So do you guys provide us like more and more like sample projects which help us for like resume building and
Yes, yes, resume building we will take care. You are going to be handle the projects here. So we are going to be help you with the making one end-to-end project from SQL onwards because anyway you are already aware, right? So how to handle the entire task also we are going to be cover one more project here. And also we will give few more sample projects which you can practice by yourself.
okay, okay, bro. Because
We have our
I
data sets and
use
everything ready in our GitHub. We will provide you the access so you can able to practice more things. And also frequently we will conduct some hackathons. You can give it a try with by practicing in hackathons. So those hackathons participation and all you will get some certification. You can try to post those in LinkedIn. It will help you to make your digital presence in better.
Okay, okay, okay.
Do you recommend DP 600 or 700 on our own when we finish the class? Suppose we want to get certified. What do you recommend?
Um,
Uh,
hey
Hmm.
Arun, Ritesh here. Okay, hi Mahesh, I've joined.
Yeah, yeah, you carry on, carry on.
Okay, so from the certification point of view, yes, Fabric Analytics Associate DP600 is what we recommend. Once you go through this Fabric course, this is only with respect to data analytics, not more a kind of data engineering. So the 700 part, which you're trying to say, it is more into the engineering stuff, right? So we always recommend go with 600, the analytics, Fabric Analytics Associate.
Yeah. Maybe you have already idea it seems on DP, right? Before that, DP 203 and PL 300, right? PL 300 for analytics and DP 203 for data engineering. So those are replacements now. Fabric analytics you can able to clear easily with this curriculum DP 600, where we are going to be happen only on SQL, Power BI, DAX, Power Query. So DP 600 will be easy for you guys.
Thank you
DP
so
yes.
much.
600, it should be from the data engineering. We have even that course that is Azure Data Engineering or Multi-Cloud Data Engineering. There we are going to be cover PySpark, Python, Big Data, Hadoop, Data Factory, Databricks, pipelines creation, everything. Those the DP 700 is required only for data engineers. You are a data analyst, DP 600 is sufficient.
And I'll add one more point here regarding DP 600 and PL 300. Next, there is a offer from Microsoft. We will get a 50% voucher for that. So we are planning to make a video and we will release that. Please follow KSR YouTube channel and how you can get the 50% voucher for the PL 300 and DP 600.
Yeah. We made already couple of videos in that. So you can able to avail that 50% option.
Hello.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Hey Nilesh.
Good morning, sir. Hello.
Um,
Good morning, sir. Am I
hey,
audible?
morning. Yes, you're audible, but your voice is breaking. Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Myself Nilesh from Satara. I'm going to convert my experience in Power BI. So I have done Power BI from some of the institute in Pune.
Mhm.
So is it fair to learn to Azure and Fabric?
Okay. Now, if you know Power BI and if you have some idea about SQL, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
right
yeah.
path
I
you
have
are looking at it.
idea about
Okay.
SQL.
Okay. No, that's, I mean, see, for all these nowadays, cloud is must. You go through any job description also, they require more about cloud. So, what we are going to discuss in this sessions, in this course also is more about cloud and Fabric. I mean, anyways, Fabric is nothing but what we learn in Azure will be all part of Fabric only. So, vice versa, it would be an added advantage to your resume as well.
Okay, okay. Sir, I do have one query also.
Mhm.
So what is your strategy about the mock interviews
So you're looking
If you
out
are
for
ready,
more.
we can able to conduct mock interviews also.
after the course?
No,
Mhm.
if you are ready today, we can take it right away.
Okay, okay.
If you let me
But
know if you are ready, you
mocks
are
are
good
on
with
the
all the skills. Instead of session, we will try a mock interview right now. So because
no, no,
first
I'm not
practice,
asking that.
our side practice
Actually,
is important, right, Nilesh? That's the reason. Once you said like, okay, almost I prepared well. So for sure we will take mock interviews. We have mentors along with the trainers. So it will be good for you and it will be good for me as well. Like how much, where people are stucking. Depends on that. We will make a better plan for the students.
Can you give a
okay,
rough
fine.
idea about where I mean, you must have run many batches before. Typically, where are the placements? For example, somebody in Hyderabad, Pune, or Chennai. Where do you
There,
see as a trend most
there,
placements
there
come
is
from?
no as such maybe an
I will let you
option.
know here.
Right?
So it's a
Yeah,
depends
go ahead.
on, yeah. So it's a city wise in the sense, Tirupati, Vijayawada, or Guntur, we can't get it, right? Currently, there is no that kind of good companies. or else Patna, or else like some other state countries where IT companies, particularly Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune, and Gurgaon. After that, Chennai. So it depends on the people. Like example, Pune people will try to prefer to get job in Pune or Mumbai. And Telangana people or Andhra people, they will most of the people will try to get a jobs in Hyderabad. So that's where, right? Particularly, we don't have in that way. Only people will get more jobs in Bangalore only. You got it right, sir. But data
Thank you.
analytics or data related jobs, little bit 1% might be Bangalore location. We will get a little more, but it's not like every time it will the same formula. Hyderabad will be there nowadays. Even I'm seeing lot many good opportunities with a better package in Pune and Delhi NCR as well.
If you visit any company or if you're into any company, your team is bifurcated in multiple locations, right?
Exactly. Mm.
So it is nowhere in one location. You have a team sitting in Bangalore, you have a team sitting in NCR, you have a team sitting in Pune or Hyderabad as well. See, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad have most opportunities, followed by the NCR region. I mean, if you have a look nowadays, I mean, Ahmedabad is also having a good amount of opportunities. Number of IT companies in
Right.
Ahmedabad is also increasing. So you can see Ahmedabad as well. You can see some in Bhubaneswar as well. So Bhubaneswar is also a decent amount of opportunities as well. And if you go down south, anyways, Kochi has some IT companies, Chennai has some IT companies, so you can expect from there as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Ritesh, maybe you can start recording
Okay.
as well once
Yeah.
it's yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'll take over, Manish.
Yeah, sure, Ritesh. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Cool. To get started, give me a few seconds. I'm starting sharing my screen. Okay. Once again, a very warm welcome and uh, welcome to KSR Datavision. A very good morning. Now, what we are going to cover, what we are going to go through this session, it would be more a kind of theoretical only. We are not directly going to jump. What is cloud? I mean, why is it? How do we use that cloud services? No, first we would try to understand why there is a requirement of a cloud. Why is it necessity that you should learn a cloud? Only then it will have a good, maybe you can say, a weightage on your resume as well, right? Now, if you try to look at any kind of example, I mean, let's start with Power BI only, right? This is specially designed for people who are good with Power BI, right? Now, if you're considering Power BI, you download Power BI desktop, you create your reports. How would you share that report to the end user? You cannot directly share that file, right? If you try to share that desktop file, which is PBX file, PBIX file, will it suffice or will it answer the queries of the end user? You try to, end of the day, what you do is you try to publish that report. Now, where do we publish that report? Any idea where do we
Power
publish
BI
that?
service,
Okay, Power BI service. Now, where is it Power BI service? I mean, is it on your local system?
cloud based.
Yes, it is a particular website. Now, you can access Power BI service from any part of the world, not only one location, but you're part of one geography or you're part of some other geography, different country also, you can access, right? So once you publish a report, usually you are a developer from India and that report is accessed from US. A stakeholder might be from US. A stakeholder might be from any European country, right? He might be from Australia as well. So if he is able to access that report without any additional credentials, the only thing is he also needs to has an access to that particular workspace and report. So that's the only option, but he can access it easily, right? Now, why he's able to access? Because that Power BI service is based out of cloud. Now, one advantage is you can access from any part of the world. With respect to cloud, if you're using any cloud terminologies, if you're using any cloud technologies, or you're using any services which are based out of cloud, you can access it from any part of the world. That is the biggest advantage, right? So because of that advantage only, nowadays, every application, now, even though you learn some application, end of the day, you publish it on a cloud, you publish it on an online component. So that can be accessed by others. That is more beneficial, right? So for that reason, cloud is must. That is the primary reason, right? So now, if I try to take an example, you are a college student, right? You're a college student. Now, what a college student expects, college or school. I mean, this guy looks like a college student. Now, if you're considering a college student, how the information, I mean, you try to write an examination, right? You are in 11th or 12th, you are 10 plus 2, or you are in any degree, right? Your graduation, or you might be in a post graduation. Once you complete your examination, how would you get marks? Marks are published on a particular website, right? Usually nowadays, we are getting marks which are published on a website. End of the day, you will get results from the university in printed format. That's a separate part. But prior to that, all your results are published on a website. Now, how do you access that website? Would you visit your college and then only access that website? You can access it from your home as well, right? You can access it from your mobile, your own devices. So that website is also cloud. Now, even while you're studying, I'm not sure how many of you are visiting any library nowadays. Anyone who visits library? Offline. I'm talking about offline. Anyone who visits library, not just to read, but to get some books also. Library, there are two aspects, right? One who visits library for some, I mean, to read something, maybe from your own book also. But usually nowadays, people going to library have reduced because everything which they are able to learn, they can easily get it from the mobile, right? They can search it on a Google. Now, what is Google? Google is nothing but your cloud. So whatever you consider, if you are if you're a person who is related, you're under education, right? You have to complete your education. Whichever aspect you're trying to consider, everything end of the day is related to cloud. It will connect it to cloud because you can access it from any part of the world and you can easily view that information without any additional resources. The only thing is you need to have an internet connectivity, right? So now the same person is graduated. Now, once he's graduated, I mean, he's married. Now he has got a very good job. End of the day, if you try to visit any particular store and you're trying to purchase any particular device, now whichever device you're trying to purchase, now if you visit a store also, that store has its own billing software. Now that billing software is also based out of cloud. Now you consider any application which you are using, your social media, right? Complete social media is on cloud. You use Google, everything is on cloud. Now, if you're trying to connect with me also, which is a live streaming, which you might have connected via YouTube, you might have connected via Zoom, everything is on cloud, right? What I'm trying to say, I'm sitting at a different location. You people are sitting at different locations, right? So you can easily access, you can easily view what I'm trying to explain you. This is all because of cloud. So 90% of the applications which you see around you are all based out of cloud. Now, applications in the sense, one where the cloud is feasible. The compatibility with cloud is feasible. Okay, there are few applications which doesn't require cloud, which we can still use it offline. But end of the day, even that applications are published, are pushed to the cloud. So that is the benefit of cloud. Anytime, anywhere, I mean, you can access any component. So that is benefit. Now, you might have got some idea that because of these cloud technologies only, because of these cloud aspects only, we are trying to access all these terminologies, all these technologies, right? All these aspects. Now, just because of that, why for a Power BI you require a cloud? End of the day, Power BI service is a cloud, but we are not going to manage that service, right? Service is managed by some admin folks. Okay, but as a developer, there are few limitations in Power BI. Now, what all that limitations are? First, we'll try to discuss some limitations, right? Limitations in the sense, Power BI has its own ETL tool, which is a Power Query. Now, this Power Query, it is very powerful, accepted. But end of the day, if you're trying to load a data which is of 2 GB size, 2 gigabytes, now, would you think this Power Query will be able to handle this 2 GB of data easily? I mean, you can do some transformations here. What is Power Query used for? Doing some transformations, doing some data cleaning, right? You want to add some additional information to it. You want to maybe combine two columns, merge two tables, append two tables. There are many options which are available in Power Query. But if the data size increases, the amount of load on Power Query will be high. So because of that, Power Query might slow down the performance. It will definitely slow down. If at all the data is of 2 GB, even if it is of 1 plus GB also, the performance of Power Query will slow down. Now, in Power Query, we have an option called as query folding. I'm not sure how many of you have heard this. This is query folding or native query. Now, this option will always help Power Query to reduce the burden on the Power Query engine, rather push it back to the source. Now, what is source? It is only supported in RDBMS. This query folding or native query is only supported in RDBMS. Okay, if we are using RDBMS, what is this RDBMS? Relational database, right? So if you're considering SQL, what is the SQL? SQL is based out of cloud. Okay, there are few systems which are on-prem as well, but nowadays on-prem SQLs are rare. You will rarely see that on-prem SQLs. Every SQL component which you're considering, it might be Oracle, it might be SQL Server, it might be Postgre, it might be even MySQL. Nowadays, all these SQL components are based out of cloud. So end of the day, you are again connecting to cloud. Now, if your sources are not RDBMS, maybe your sources are some other different sources. Now, this query folding is not supported in other sources, right? No other sources. End of the day, if your data size is more and if you're not connecting RDBMS, the load on Power Query will be again more. You cannot perform some transformations. So that is the one single limitation which you can say, that Power Query cannot handle large chunk of data. So how do you handle this large chunk of data? How do you do this ETL without Power Query? We use some cloud services, right? There, the external cloud services will come into picture. Now, external cloud services means we are not talking about Power BI. We are talking about a cloud which is over and out of this Power BI. Prior to loading it to Power BI, we use some ETL services where with the help of cloud, you can access that ETL services from any part of the world. Done. Now, after you do the transformations, you push that data to the Power Query. I mean, Power Query, if there are minute transformations, you can still do there. And then you can create your visuals. And now, if you publish your report, it is again Power BI service. That Power BI service is again cloud. So somewhere, if you're trying to touch any part of this Power BI also, end of the day, it is going back to cloud. Right? End of the day, it is going back to cloud. Now, what all ETL transformations would you like to do apart from this Power Query transformations? These all transformations are all done in ADF. Now, why only ADF? Why not any other services? We'll try to discuss that as well, right? ADF is a service which is part of Azure. It is part of Azure. Now, why Azure again? Right? Why ADF? Why Azure? Why not any other cloud? The best option, or which you can think, is Azure is Microsoft-based cloud service, right? It managed by Microsoft. Now, end of the day, if you're comparing Azure and if you're comparing Power BI, Power BI is also a product of Azure. I mean, a product of Microsoft rather. So one advantage which you always get if you learn Azure along with Power BI is Power BI has around 50 plus data sources. In total, it has 100 plus. In total, it has 100 plus. But there are 50 plus data sources which are easily connectable to Azure services. Why? Because Azure is a Microsoft compatible cloud. It is developed by Microsoft. It is managed by Microsoft. The same goes with Power BI. Every month, Power BI also get updates. How that updates are released from the Microsoft end. It is completely managed by Microsoft. Even your Power BI service is a cloud service. It is managed by Microsoft. So the reason why we need to learn Azure is why not AWS? Why not GCP? Even AWS is a very good cloud. Even Google is a very good cloud, Google Cloud Platform. We have clouds like Oracle. We have clouds like, Salesforce, right? So why not these clouds? Why only Azure? Because Azure has a direct compatibility with Power BI. We can easily connect any services from Azure to Power BI, which is not available for AWS, which is not available for GCP. We have only one or two connectors limited to other clouds, right? So that is the reason we will be using cloud with respect to Azure, right? Now in Azure, there are many services. One of the service is ADF, which is like ETL, right? From one movement, from one location to different location, we try to move that data, we can use that ADF. And in between, if you want to do some transformations, you want to do some data massaging, it has to be done inside the ADF using some additional transformation logics. So this is one advantage of ADF. This is one advantage of learning Azure, which is still part and parcel of their Microsoft infrastructure. And why do we need a cloud? Again, we have seen, right? There is a limitation of Power Query. More the data, the less would be performance of that Power Query. Power Query cannot handle that large chunk of data. So it has to be managed outside of Power Query, which is nothing but our cloud services. Right? So even if you're using any RDBMS like SQL, even that SQL is based out of a cloud. So somewhere you will touch that cloud, and end of the day, you will again touch that cloud to publish your services. Right? Until now, any questions? Why cloud? Why Azure? Why is it compatible with Power BI? Any questions? Okay, very good. If there are no questions, now I've been talking since last 10-15 minutes. One who are part of SQL and Power BI, they already know me. One who have recently joined, this is my experience. I'll not go through all these points. I have 7+ years of experience in IT. I've been associated with Microsoft since last 4.5, 5 years. I mean, I directly work with Microsoft stakeholders for some projects, right? So I'm a data analyst as well as engineer. I have the engineering experience as well. So I'm a certified data engineer and a data analyst. All different domains have touch based, even though I was part of this Microsoft only. Microsoft is a product company. They have all these domains. They have their own healthcare system for employees. They have their own financial banking services, and it's a cloud-based business domain. So I have that exposure as well. Right. So this is my experience. This is my expertise, and I have 7+ years I've been associated with this IT. Now going further, what is the role of a data analyst? Right, few of you might get bored the same example, but one who have joined now, for them, this is totally new. Right, so where the cloud comes into picture here. Now, if you take a look at this complete diagram representation, where the cloud comes into picture. If you're looking at any data sources, Oracle cloud-based, SAP cloud-based, SQL Server cloud-based, the one which are below Excel can be from your local system, but if that Excel is published to SharePoint, SharePoint is a cloud. You can access that Excel if it is published to SharePoint, right? Whereas all other systems are, maybe you can upload a PDF on SharePoint as well, right? So end of the day, if you're trying to connect your local files, but if that files are published on an online version, even that online version can be accessed from any part of the world. So that is nothing but a cloud. If you're considering any databases, all about databases are all cloud. Now, do you think here the cloud will come into picture? No. Yes, we accept that there is this use of this cloud for all these data sources. But as a data analyst with cloud expertise, you will not be working on how the database should look like. Our priority is how do you get this data and how do you manage this data prior loading it to the Power Query or Power BI. So whatever you see in between, this complete section is managed within cloud. In between, prior dumping the data to the Power BI. This is Power BI, right? Visualization is Power BI. Now here, and once you publish your report, once you create a dashboard, scorecards, whatever information, you publish that report, which is used by business users. This is also cloud, your Power BI service. Even this is managed by us. Prior to that, if there are any transformations from the different data sources, as we discussed, what we do here, we do ETL, right? So this complete ETL is done with respect to cloud service. We use ADF here. Along with ADF, there is this data warehouse, right? So in cloud, rather in Azure, we have a service called as ADLS, Azure Data Lake. We have some data warehouses also, but Azure Data Lake, which is a storage service. So that we use to store our information. And from this ADLS, it is directly connected to Power BI. If you open Power BI, if you click on Get Data, and if you only filter Azure as a data source, you will get around 50 plus connectors, which you can directly connect with Azure, which is not available with respect to the AWS or GCP. Why? Because Azure is compatible directly with Power BI because of that same company which is developing that service. Right? So as a data analyst, as a BI analyst, you should know cloud and where do we use a cloud before connecting that data to reporting from a different data sources. We try to take that data, we try to integrate it as if it's a one single component. We try to do the transformations in between, data massaging in between, then load it to some storage services. From there, we connect it to the Power BI. That is the ideal role of a person who needs to learn this cloud along with reporting. Reporting is anyways managed by us. But prior to that, if the data is high, the volume is high, you need to manage with the help of cloud services. Now, going further, how is this cloud classified? Right? Cloud has its own architecture. It is not similar like Power BI, right? Power BI architecture is slightly different. Reporting, right? It is more a kind of reporting. So Power BI has Vertipack engine, right? I might assume that you already know what is Vertipack engine. The one who have attended our sessions, they already know it. For the one who are new to this, you should go back and understand what is Vertipack engine. So if you understand Vertipack engine, that means you understand the Power BI architecture. Now, the same way, cloud has its own architecture. That architecture is classified into three different services. What are that services? One is infrastructure as a service, one is platform as a service, and one is software as a service. The other one is on-premise. On-premise is nothing but your own local system. It is not cloud, right? So if you own your own car, that means you have your own device, you use your own car. That is your own vehicle, right? No other person can come back and ask you that I want to use your car because it is owned by you. It is managed by you. So that is why it is called as a on-premise, that you completely manage yourself. But if you're trying to take that same car example, you might have leased a car, Zoom car, right? You are leasing a car. You're not the owner, but you can drive that car. You want to go to certain location, you are free to use that Zoom car, right? So if it's a leased car, that means you are getting complete infrastructure of a car, but you have to manage. That is called as infrastructure as a service in cloud. Now we will discuss this in detail once we proceed further. Understand why leased car is infrastructure, because if you're getting a leased car, you are getting complete car. You can manage that car. You are not the owner. End of the day, you have to submit a car, right? You have to submit it back to the particular website or a company from where you have leased it. But you are getting a complete infrastructure of that car, right? As if you are owner, but you are end of the day, you are not a owner. There is an agreement between you and that company who is leasing that car, but they are giving you a complete infrastructure. So that is called as infrastructure as a service. You own everything, but you are not the owner. End of the day, you have to submit it back. Now, if you're booking a taxi, now what is taxi? Taxi means that it is with you only, right? You are booking a taxi, it stays with you only. No other person can use a taxi. You or your own family members can use it. Some other person cannot come back and sit in that taxi, right? Right? If you're booking an Ola, if you're booking any Uber cab, end of the day, what is that taxi used for? Taxi means you're sitting inside that from a particular location, you're going to a different location. Let's suppose you want to visit airport, right? You're traveling somewhere. So from your house to airport, within that time frame, you are getting that car leased. Leased means you are not the driver. There will be a driver for it. There will be a taxi person, right, who's driving that car. But you will be the person who will be getting that platform. What is platform? That taxi for a certain duration. That cab for a certain duration. You are getting a platform. You are not getting infrastructure because that is driven by the driver. Infrastructure is managed by the driver, but you are getting a platform to use that vehicle. That is called as platform as a service. You are getting vehicle to use, but you are not managing it. It is managed by some other person. So you are only getting a platform. You are not getting infrastructure. If you're driving your own, I mean, your vehicle, if you're own driving it, that is called as infrastructure. So in case of taxi, you're getting a platform. You can use that vehicle, but you cannot drive it. You're not getting that infrastructure. You're only getting use of that infrastructure, which is called as platform as a service. Now, the last option is bus, or even if you take an example of that shared taxi, right? Any public transport. Cab, you can call it as a public transport, but it is not pure public transport if you're individually using it. Whereas a public transport means all other people can also sit together, right? Not you. It can be 1, 2, 3, or 10 members as well. So if you take an example of bus, train, any public transport, your auto, shared auto, your shared taxi, right? Any specific component which is shared by multiple people, that means you are not getting infrastructure. You're just, I mean, you're using that infrastructure. You're using that platform. You're not managing it. It is managed by some other person. End of the day, you have to pay, right? Along with you, there are some other 10, 15 members who are also parallelly paying for it. But the amount you are paying for it is very low, right? If you compare it with your own driven vehicle, your own vehicle, leased vehicle, and a taxi, if you compare this, the last component, it is shared by multiple people. So that shared component is called as software as a service. It can be utilized by one person. It can be utilized by 1,000 people at a time. It can be utilized by some millions of people at a time. That is called as software as a service. Now, you only have to understand how this component, how this vehicle will work with respect to our usage. Whether you want to drive your own vehicle, that means infrastructure. Whether you want that vehicle, but you will not drive it, that is platform. But neither you drive, neither you will be the only person, but it is managed by some company, right? If you're taking a look at public transport, own state government, different state governments are managing, different private companies are managing that bus. So you're just utilizing that service. So that utilization of service is called as software as a service. All your applications, social media applications, are software as a service. Why? Because you are not the owner of that application. Neither you can manage that application. The only thing is you can manage your own account. There can be millions of people, millions of users who are using that social media applications. Your Facebook, your Instagram, your WhatsApp, all these applications are software as a service. You're getting a software. You're not managing anything. The only thing which you can manage is your own account. Because even though that are free, but end of the day, some services are getting paid, right? There are few paid services like LinkedIn Premium, right? Even if you want that blue tech on Twitter or on Instagram, you have to pay for it. So there is a very less amount of payment required, but you can parallelly use that service, right? Services which can be parallelly used by multiple people are called as software as a service, more a kind of software as a service. So the cloud is broadly classified into three different segments with the same example. Let me show you one more example. This is the another example. So if you want to travel, you are going to certain holiday, right? Vacation. So if you are traveling by your own vehicle, you have to manage your own accommodation. You have to manage your own luggage, own transport, own routing, right? Maps. You have to manage your own. How would you like to go from your own house to some vacation, right? So everything you have to manage. End of the day, this is on premise, right? Whereas if you go with the other three services which are based out of a cloud, services means okay. So one, if you wants to speak with someone next to you, please try to be on mute. Now, coming back to again, what is infrastructure as a service? What is platform as a service? What is software as a service? See, if you go to any agent, that agent will manage everything, right? Nowadays, people are going with this software as a service option more because they visit some travel agency. They will manage everything, including your booking. They will also book your cab from your home to airport, from airport to hotel, once you go to that destination, right? Once you go to that vacation area. So everything, if it is managed by travel agency, that is called as software as a service. You are not managing anything. You're paying for that service. That's it. You're visiting your location, that vacation location, and you're paying for that service. That is called as software as a service. Whereas what is platform as a service? In case of platform as a service, if you are going via certain travel agency, there are certain agencies which only pays for your going to that location, certain sightseeing or maybe stay, but it is not inclusive of food. You have to pay for your own food, and you have to pay a certain amount if you're visiting certain places. That amount is managed or paid by us. That is what called as platform. That means that agency is helping us to visit that particular. They are driving us. But end of the day, for every component, you have to pay certain amount. That is called as platform. You are getting a platform from that agency. They are not managing everything. End of the day, you are paying from your own pocket. Now, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure means there will be certain websites, right? Your Make My Trip, your Go IBGO. There are many websites. So if you try to book from that website, accommodation is not managed, right? At the end of the day, that accommodation is managed by some hotel, some service. Your luggage transfer is managed by, by mode, which mode of transport you're traveling. Your transport is also, how would you move from one location to different location. So there are few components which are managed by some service, but the other components are managed by some infrastructure, right? You need an infrastructure. You are visiting certain location, so you pay for a cab which you are booking it separately. So if you're considering any cloud service also, in cloud also you need to identify whether which service you need. You need an infrastructure as a service, you need a platform as a service, or you need everything managed by cloud. You only want to use that service is called as software as a service.
Sir, one question.
Mhm.
Sir, is KSR platform as a service or SaaS?
Think, what is it?
So according to me, it is software as a service.
Why software as a service?
So because we are paying and everything is managed by the KSR team, we don't have to do anything. We have to. So I thought it is software.
It cannot be infrastructure as a service. That is fixed. It can be PaaS or it can be SaaS. Now, there are two versions. Some might say it is platform as a service. Some might say it is a software as a service. But what would you think? Whether this is correct or this is correct?
PaaS,
PaaS, platform as a service.
platform as a service.
Why? Because some are managed by us.
Very good. It is not purely software as a service. Yes, you can access records, your recordings, your videos. You can access some files which are shared by us. Whatever we are sharing with you are all software. But end of the day, what we are trying to teach you, you are downloading your own application and you are practicing it manually, right? So that is what we are giving you a platform to practice. That's it. We're not giving you complete infrastructure. You are downloading your own softwares. You are managing your own softwares. That is called as platform. You're getting a platform. It is more a platform as a service rather than software as a service. What is software? Your own applications, right? Power BI is a software as a service, Power BI service. What we are going to learn in Azure will be mostly software as a service only because it is all managed by Azure. There will be few services where you have to manage it, right? If you want to create a virtual machine, I'm not sure if you have heard this name prior to this, but if you are into this IT field, when you are working for a client, you will get some virtual client access, virtual machine, virtual desktop interface. All these components are called as infrastructure as a service. Why? Because for a virtual machine, you need some infrastructure. Whereas if you're trying to connect any client softwares from your own system without any VM, that is called as platform as a service. You are accessing the cloud services where you are getting a platform to work and develop on it. The only thing which is end of the day is, if you're only accessing client services, you cannot develop anything. You can only view it. That is called as software as a service. So everything is broadly classified into three different segments with respect to cloud, right? So I might assume that you have got a better perspective what we discussed now. With that, we can move forward. You might have got an idea what these three components are, because these three components are very, very important. Now, what we would be learning with this course, the big question, right? Only ADF, only ADF. Is it that only ADF? With this course, we would be starting with basic of Azure infrastructure, right? We might have started with what is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. But again, there are a few other components also which we need to learn. What is subscription? What is resource group? What are individual resources? So this is all common in any cloud. Not only Azure, but all clouds have the same kind of infrastructure. End of the day, slight changes will be there, but mostly every cloud is similar. So we would be starting with very basic cloud infrastructure. Then we would be learning Azure Data Factory, which is an ETL tool, which will be in detail, end-to-end ADF, because this is the primary service which is frequently used by Power BI developers for ETL, for data transformations, right? So this is our ETL tool. Now, whenever you are learning ETL tool, there are some dependent services which you need to learn. That dependent services are Azure Key Vaults. What is this Key Vault? This is for security purpose, right? If you want to secure your data, no other person wants to access this ADF pipelines, right? ADF is a cloud. It can be accessed by some other people also. But if you want to secure the data, you can use this Azure Key Vault. Along with this Azure Key Vault, there will be a service called as App ID or Service Principal. Even this is a kind of security or access mechanism. This you can call it as access mechanism. So this is a dependent services which we would be learning along with ADF. We would be learning how you can manage your SQL server, how to manage, how to maintain it. We'll not be learning queries. Queries, which is a different, right? SQL is a different section, which is already included in this course, but that is not part of Azure. We would be learning how a SQL database can be managed or created inside a cloud, right? Along with that, the most important service which we are going to learn is storage service. Your warehouses, data lakes are all part of this storage services, right? End of the day, we will be learning basics of Databricks infrastructure. Basics. I'll not be training you Python. I'll not be training you Spark. How Databricks is beneficial if we compare it with some other cloud service, that is what we are going to go through. Along with the Databricks, there is one more service which is basic about Synapse. Now, you might also have a question that what is Synapse, what is Logic Apps, what is Databricks? These are primarily used by data engineering folks. End to end, these are primarily used by data engineering folks. But the reason why we included these basics also is you should know that if some person is coming up to you, that he's asking you that whether ADF is compatible or whether Databricks is compatible. Now you need to answer. For that reason, we have introduced or we have included these components as well. A Databricks can process data in 5 minutes, but that same data can be processed in an ADF pipeline, which it takes 15 to 20 minutes. So Databricks is way more faster. Whereas if you compare ADF and Power Query might take 1 hour to process that or transform that data, whereas ADF can do it in 15, 20 minutes. Right? So this is how the infrastructure is. Databricks is faster because it requires some coding. End of the day, Databricks has a component called as cluster configuration. So all this basics we will be discussing end of this sessions. At the last 5 days or last 6 days, we will be going through all this. But first few sessions or mostly 3 weeks of our sessions would be related to ADF and its dependent services. Right? So what is the duration of this course? Very small, 1 month, 22 to 25 sessions. In between 22 to 25. And I cannot guarantee only 22 or I cannot guarantee it will be only 25. Anything between 22 to 25. Right? So if we started on 19th, today is 19th, right? 19th June, probably you can assume by 19th of July, we can close it. Right? In between, we get all weekdays. Okay. So this we would be starting from today, even though it's a Thursday, but our sessions are from Monday to Friday. No weekend sessions. Weekend, I might take few extracurricular sessions, which is non-technical session, right? Your resume preparation. We already have a session for LinkedIn account, which is done. You can, I mean, if you want, you can get an access to it. We already had a session, what is project management, domain management that we already had for this batch. So you will get that recordings, but we are yet to cover the resume building session. So these kind of sessions will be on weekends for 1 hour, maybe on Sundays. But usually our technical sessions would be from Monday to Friday. Right? So this will be the complete, I mean, details related to course, what we are going to cover. Now, coming to the point, all these services are part of Azure or all these services are part of cloud. Every service which is mentioned here are all part of cloud. So you can access it from any part of the world. Right? Now, what is Fabric, right? We have seen everything now. There is nothing related to Fabric here. I haven't mentioned a single word related to Fabric. But if I go to Fabric, I mean, this is Fabric. Data Factory is your ADF. Fabric has a component called as data warehouse, which is your ADLS. It has a component called as Power BI, which is your Power BI service. Right? Power BI service. Along with that, it has a service called as One Lake, which is also related to data warehouse. It has a service called as Copilot. What is Copilot? It is a artificial intelligence, AI. Nowadays, everything is, I mean, every service, if you attend any course also, people from Java, people from .NET background are also trying to say we need to learn Gen AI, generative AI. The Copilot is nothing but your Gen AI. It's a new introduction to the Fabric. Now, what all you would be learning in Fabric, this real-time intelligence is nothing but your alerts. In Power BI, we have an alert, right? Set alert, get alert. These are all related to real-time intelligence. So somewhere it is related to Power BI only. What we are going to learn in Azure, every component is present in Fabric. And the funny thing is, Fabric itself is a part of Azure. The Fabric service itself is a part of Azure. Right? You might also have a question. Is it true? Is it really true whether Fabric is a part of Azure? Let me show you. Fabric, you will get first 60 days free. Post that, you need to pay. You will get 60 days of trial. Post that, you need to pay. Now, how do you manage? How do you pay it? Because it's a cloud-based service. Fabric is part of this. This is the Azure portal, you can see. And in the Azure portal only, you have this Microsoft Fabric. If you want to use this Fabric after 60 days of trial, you have to use it from here. And I'll let you know what is the difference between learning individual services in cloud rather than, I mean, going through every service which is part of Fabric. What is Fabric in simple terms? For a data analyst or a data engineer, what we are going to learn, all these services are clubbed together in one single umbrella that is called as Fabric. But that umbrella itself is a part of cloud. So what you learn in Fabric, that can be learned individually as a separate service in a cloud. Now, if I go here, I'm trying to create a new Fabric capacity. What is capacity? After 60 days of trial, with what capacity you want to activate your Fabric, you have to decide, right? After trial, it's always a paid version. Now, if I scroll down, you have a capacity size here. There is a capacity units. This is called as queues. If I click on this, you will get an option called as queue. What is this queue? Queue is nothing but a technical term used for cloud components, stock keeping units. Don't go with that word. Understand the meaning. Stock keeping units. That means if you're managing a warehouse, the capacity of a warehouse, it can manage 500 tons of data. Right? If you're owning a warehouse, it can manage 500 tons of data. Similarly, Fabric is a combination of multiple services, right? So you need to decide which stock keeping unit is the best fit for you, depending on the data which you have. Now, this is not decided by us as a developer. You can suggest that, okay, if I've selected F4, which is, I mean, low capacity, I want to increase it to F8 or I want to increase it to F16, you can suggest, but it is all decided by architect or admin people. But you need to know a knowledge about it, right? So you can take a look how costly the Fabric is. If you go with F2, you have to pay $292. Now, for the very first time, in July, I mean, in June 2025, we have got a new update that even if you are part of any country, all the charges will be in US dollars. It will be converted to your local currency also. Earlier, if you would have attended any prior sessions or if you go through some YouTube recordings also for the KSR, you would always see all these numbers were in Indian rupees. Everything has changed to US dollars. I mean, if you were part of some Europe also, everything was mentioned in euros. Now, even if you're accessing from Europe, it will be automatically in US dollars only. Now you can see how costly these services are. For any company to run a project, a full end-to-end project with the use of ADF and some other dependent services, if they want to use and if they want to go with Fabric as a complete umbrella, they need minimum F64 license, minimum. And what is the costing of this F64? One who are from US, they already know this is 9,344. But if we are comparing it with Indian rupees, I'll multiply it by 80. It is more than 80, but I'll assume it as 80. For 1 month, you have to pay 7,47,520 rupees for a normal project. If you use it, if you do not use it, also you need to pay this much amount for a Fabric. Now, what does this Fabric contain? Fabric has Data Factory, Fabric has Data Warehouse, Fabric has Power BI. So if I take Power BI license, Power BI is $20 per user per month for a premium. I'm talking about premium. So if there are 10 users, it will be $200. $200 is a very small amount. But along with that, if I want to use any other services, I can go and use that individual services rather than Fabric, right? I can go ahead and create a data factory, this data factory. So if I want to create a new data factory, let's try to see the same. I mean, I already have a data factory which is created. Try to see this data factory. Now, for this data factory, if I go to, let me go to the subscription here, you will get a better clarity. What is the amount which I've spent for the data factory which I've created? Right, if I scroll down, see, these are the services, these are the costing. So that data factory is called as, what is the data factory called as? Right, let me check the name first, right? The data factory is called as, I have created the data factory. Now we will see how to create also in further sessions, but in today's session, we are just going to see how that data factory costing happens. Right, if you go with Fabric, you have to pay that F32, F64 license, which is very costly. Now, my bad, it seems my internet is slow. This is called as KSR ADF Practice 1, this data factory name. Right, so if I go with individual service, what my individual services are costing. See, the current cost is 187 Indian rupees. I have created multiple services. Current costing is 187, and how that costing is classified. See, the ADF which I have created is costing me 0.01 rupees. It is only costing me 0.01. I may not be using it on daily basis, but once if I use it also, it would cost you somewhere around 200, 300 Indian rupees. Or if you're using it for a very bulk application, 2000, 3000 Indian rupees. Still not more than that. So see, which is most costliest application which I'm using is the SQL database, which is costing me 187 rupees. So if you go with Fabric, you have to pay minimum F32. Forget about F32. If you're paying with F8 also, F8 is also costlier than individual services if you separately use it. If you use data factory separately, it will cost you 500, 1000 rupees. If you use any data storage services, it will cost you 300 to 400 rupees only, not more than that. So whatever services which we will be using, if you learn that services individually, all that services can be implemented in Fabric with that 60 days of trial, which you will be getting. People who joined with Power BI, they already started this trial. People who are joining with this Azure sessions, they will be getting the credentials from KSR Send and they can access that free Fabric trial. Right? Post that, it will be paid. So we will never recommend to go with Fabric as a paid service. Fabric is a good advertisement which Microsoft has done, but it is very costly. So what we are going to do is we will be learning all that individual services in Azure, and all that services can be replicated in Fabric, even that we are going to see, because anyways we are getting the trial. Right, so Fabric is used by data scientists. Yes, we may not be going to cover that data science aspect. Fabric is used by data engineers. Yes, because data engineering part contains all your PySpark, all your Databricks, all your AI ML components. We may not going to go through these, but from a data analyst point of view, Data Factory, Copilot, your data warehouses, OneLake, real-time intelligence, all we are going to touch base in Fabric as well.
So one question.
Hmm.
So why is Fabric so expensive than Azure? If I'm getting the same services in the Azure cloud at a cheaper cost, so why should I pay 7 lakhs?
That
Why?
is the question. That is the question companies asking to Microsoft. What Microsoft has done. See what these big companies do. See, it's a very valid question. If anyone is using an iPhone, would you think that 1 lakh Indian rupees which you're spending on an iPhone, is it justifying you that amount? I have that question. You can get all that services. The amount of security which Apple has, you will get that same security if you pay some $1,000, or maybe you pay some $100 per month also, which is still. I'm not talking about how secure the Apple is. I'm not talking about how secure the other mobiles are. Whether the Apple is justifying for the amount which you're paying. Even Apple phones can be hacked. So all these big companies, what they'll do is they try to launch a product. They say that our product is master product. Yes, even Microsoft has done that same thing. They have launched a Fabric. They said that it's a very, very important product. You will get everything in one single place, but they haven't said a single word related to the payment, the charges that are very costly. I'm not sure why they are costly. Even though I work with Microsoft with certain projects, I don't have any idea. We have worked on multiple Fabric projects where we feel that it is costly, it is slow as compared to individual cloud services. That's the reason we are again moving back to the cloud service. If you think, if a company is coming to you and asking you a question, if you see a job opening and HR has reached out to you that we need a person who is very good in Fabric, ask them a question. Do you think Fabric is compatible with the project which we are working? Because it is costly. It is only mentioned in the job description. Once you go into that company might be using individual services only. I've seen many companies who have moved from individual services to Fabric. Fabric had there are many limitations in Fabric. I'm not going to discuss that limitation, because you yourself will have a question. Then if all these are there, why to learn Fabric? You have to understand Fabric. That's it. We will be learning more in individual services rather than Fabric. But how do you implement in Fabric? We will definitely see that. So this is all about our course. We would be learning now how to activate this portal, how to use it. I'll not be covering today. We will be starting with that part tomorrow. So need not worry on that. What is the importance of cloud? Why do we need cloud? Why do we need Azure cloud? We have seen that today, which is more than enough. I assume that of all 50, 60 people, I mean 58 to 60 people have joined, you might have understood that what is infrastructure, what is platform, and what is software. If it is still not clear to you, once we move ahead with individual services, there you will get a better clarity. But still, if you understand the basics also, which is more than enough for this cloud. This is the high level architecture of a cloud. Once you jump into cloud, there is a different hierarchy of information. So you need to understand that hierarchy as well. And the last slide, which I would always mention is who can take up this course. Again, reiterating, this is only designed for people who already know Power BI or SQL, both. This is only designed for them. If you're looking out to learn once you have a good exposure of Power BI, for them only this course is suggested. If you're learning Azure first and then you're learning Power BI, no, I would not say you are in the right track, because learn Power BI or SQL first, then reach out to the cloud. Cloud is the end service which you can learn. Right. So this is what I had to discuss for today. We are good with our session, what we discussed. I'm open for any other questions. I mean, questions with respect to today's session, questions with respect to what we are going to cover in further sessions.
I have one question.
Mhm.
As you said that, hi, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, as you said that most of the things you will be implementing in Azure, right? So everything will be doing in Azure. We are not going to implement every individual services in Fabric, right?
We will be. See, the question here is what we learn in Azure, that same process is implemented in Fabric.
Yes,
We
that you
will not
said.
start with Fabric and then move to cloud. Why? Because cloud UI is easy to understand than the Fabric UI. The user interface in Fabric is not that great. It is good. It is very excellent in Azure.
Okay. So in Azure, we are going to implement everything. That is fine. But in Fabric, are we going to implement everything or not?
Yes.
Yes,
We
that
will.
means the same thing we'll be doing in
Yeah,
Azure as
in
well
Azure.
as in Fabric.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Ritesh.
Okay.
Actually, doubt is not today's session, previous session on dynamic RLS. Actually, it is not working. Actually,
With respect to Power BI, right? We will
yeah.
discuss that. Anything with respect to cloud?
Hi, Ritin.
Hey, go
I
on.
just have one doubt, like as you earlier mentioned, like those who have SQL and Power BI knowledge. So since I joined from today, so I'm pretty good in SQL. But I have very basic knowledge, like basic DAX function and everything. I'm aware about the Power BI. So can I will it be okay to start with the cloud things? And
So you can load data to Power BI, you can write some DAX functions, you can create some visuals, right?
yes.
That's
I know
fine.
basic DAX functions and how to connect and how to publish. I'm aware about this and I'm
Yep,
working
that's
with
fine.
Power BI tools. So,
That's sufficient for you. I mean,
so
if you're very good in SQL and
yeah, I'm pretty
maybe
good in SQL,
40-50% of Power BI is also known to you, still you can go with this. See, the
So
question here is, I mean, I'll clearly say, if you go and search for any Power BI developer in a market, if there is a one opening, you might see some 500 applications. How a company is filtering that 500 application is, I've seen many people who mention in their resume that I'm very good in Power BI. How good they are is they can only load data and they can create some random visuals. They can drag and drop the data, they create some visuals. That is not only Power BI. Power BI is much very powerful tool. I mean, it has many other components as well. So I'm not saying that a person who only knows to create a visual means a Power BI developer. No. If you know how to write a DAX, if you know some Power Query concepts also, that means that person is a Power BI developer. And every visual has its own story. You cannot use any visual at any place. If you know the background of that visual, if you know what is the outcome of that visual, then you are a Power BI developer. So how a company filters is they ask few questions to that that HR will ask few questions. Within that HR interview screening only most of the people are filtered. So HR is given an opportunity that you ask this question. If a person is able to answer it, that means he's a very good in Power BI. What that questions will be, what is this particular visual used for? 90% of the time people will not be able to answer. Only 10% people will be able to answer. That folks are all good Power BI developers. So that is how the filtering criteria is. So one who feels that you are very good in Power BI, very good in the sense, 50, 60% also, that is still fine. But a good amount of SQL, for them it is developed. This course is developed for them.
Okay. Okay.
Any other questions?
Hi Ritesh.
Go ahead.
One question on like fees and duration of the course, like what would be the
Okay, cool. So duration, as I've said, it's a 1 month, 22 to 25 sessions. The fees is 10K. For Fabric license, you will be getting. Now, justification is we are paying premium per user per month for, right? It is somewhere around $20. So somewhere 16 to 1700 Indian rupees we are paying for per user, which you will be getting along with that enrollment. So out of 10,000, 1700 rupees are given for that premium and Fabric license. Fabric is trial, but how do you get that trial once you go with premium? So we will be sharing that premium credentials with you. So that is the reason we are keeping it to 10,000. 10,000 for 22 to 25 sessions. Monday to Friday are sessions. We will be having non-tech sessions either of the weekend. One session, something, 1 or 2 sessions, not more than that. At today's first session, you still have 4 more sessions. You can attend that 4 sessions only, then you can go back and decide whether you are able to understand what I'm trying to teach you with respect to this cloud. Yep. Any other questions?
Hello?
Yep.
Sorry.
Good.
Hello?
Good. Firuzdin.
Hello?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Is there any recording is available for this particular session? Because I log in very late, so that's
all the sessions will be recorded. Once 5 sessions are done, the 6th session would be paid session, right? So this is a free session. That's the reason you can access it on YouTube. You can access it from directly from your Zoom, right? Without any password or without nothing that. So once you are enrolled for it, paid sessions will start. You will be getting an application, mobile app also you can download, or you can visit our website on daily basis. Once you visit our website, once you log in, you will get the list of all the recordings or whatever it is what we covered. Yes, that will be available to you.
okay. Thank you.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in this course, you are going to explain all the activities of data pipeline, or
Yes.
just
Yes.
overall?
ADF is complete end-to-end, in detail, I've said. Pipeline
Yes,
with
means
respect to pipeline,
like copy
everything.
data, weight, every single
Every
activity you are going to explain, right?
Every activity, every integration runtime, every pipeline data flows, data wranglings, everything we will be covering with respect to ADF.
Okay.
ADF, that is the primary service which we are going to learn, right? Along with ADF, there are other dependent services which we are also going through. But ADF is the most important service which is part of it.
Yes, apart from that, storage or something like that.
See,
But
this is
this
where
is for
these services are very
orchestration.
small services. Keyword,
Yes.
very limited usage. Yes, we can cover everything in one single day for keyword. We can cover everything for one single day in service principal or app IDs. For storage account, it might take 2 or 3 sessions, not more than that. So we can cover through that.
Yes, ADF is the place where activities are there.
Yeah.
All that.
There are around 15 to 16 activities which are frequently used. Yes. Frequently in the sense, there are maximum 18 activities, it seems, out of which 12, 13 are frequent, and 15, 16, you can say, okay, we can use it on some good amount of basis. So we'll be covering all that activities as well. What is
With
that
the help
specific
of
activity used?
Individual use case, we are going to
Yes,
implement that.
yes, individual
Okay.
use case.
Okay.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes, sir. So do we get any notes or any study material?
Yes. See, what I'll be teaching you, I'll be listing it in the notepad also. This was a project management session. I have listed it for what should be mentioned in the reports also I've covered. So whatever I'm trying to teach, see, for Power BI, these are the notes. So what I'll be explaining all things, whichever is required, I might type that. So that notes are also given. Along with that, you will be given some interview questions. You will be given some notes in the PDF format. There will be a WhatsApp group you will be added to. In that group, all these details will be shared.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
The
Any other
data we are
questions?
using,
Uh-huh.
the data we are using from which domain?
Yes, the data sets also, including data sets. Now, if I want to show you, see, this is for the existing batch, SQL datasets, SQL PPTs, practice questions, Power BI datasets for practice, whatever I am explaining. If you want some resumes for your referral also, this is a zip file. It has around 20-25 resumes. What projects we will be covering, all that projects are also mentioned here. So whatever I'm going to discuss along with the recordings also, they will be shared. Any other questions?
Hi, Ritis. So which one will be good for Power BI resume? Means apart from Power BI and SQL, if I add Azure, that is good, or Microsoft Fabric, which one is more demanding nowadays?
If you mention Fabric, the chances of shortlisting is also more. If you mention
Rather means
Azure,
then
chances of
Azure
shortlisting
also means
same. If you mention
same.
Azure, if you mention Fabric, both are same. See, people who are
Okay.
shortlisting you, they are not aware what is Fabric. We know that Fabric is itself a part of Azure. It's a part of cloud. So you have to give them an explanation that if I've mentioned only few lines about Fabric, you say what we learn in Fabric, what we do in Fabric is all done in the Azure also. So if you mention both, I would recommend you to mention both and not say only mention one of them. I'll recommend you to mention both because end of the day, Fabric is also part of Azure.
Yes, yes. As we are learning both, we will be adding both. That is fine.
Right.
No, I'm just asking. Suppose I have not learned both. I have just learned any one. Then which
Okay.
one is better? Either among
See,
Azure and Fabric?
I'll always say one thing. I have never seen a person who have learned Fabric directly who doesn't know anything in the Azure. You will never get that candidate. If you see, if you know, I mean, if some person is trying to say, I don't know anything in Azure, but I know a very good amount of Fabric, that means he's lying. Because if you learn directly from Fabric, I will definitely guarantee you, you will forget everything within 1 month. Because Fabric is not correctly managed. It itself is a part of cloud. That is what I'm trying to say. How a cloud infrastructure is, you need to understand from that point of view, only then you can jump to the services. So you cannot directly learn a Fabric. It has to be from a cloud and then a Fabric.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Silence is no. We're good with time also.
Hey, hi Ritesh. Just
Yeah, yeah, go
one
ahead, go
more
ahead.
query. So, SSIS it is also like required to get a job as a Power BI developer or not? Like
Which service? SSRS.
SSIS, like it is an
Ah,
integration
yes.
service. Like, do we need to know that as well, or
Is it
MDF will replace
SSIS you're talking about?
SSIS? Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
That's
okay.
one.
Let me give you a small clarification. Okay, I'll only take 2 minutes. There are some legacy services like SSRS, SSIS. Now, what are these? SS means
SQL Server reporting services.
this is only reporting.
Reporting.
Everything is same. SQL Server integration service. This is integration. Now, what is integration? What do you get from this integration? The word
Basically, it is a
integration.
ETL.
It is nothing but a kind of ETL, moving data from one location to different location, doing some transformations. So SSRS is a legacy service. The latest is Power BI. Power BI is developed on top of SSRS and Excel. It has both functionalities. Whereas the ADF, which we are going to learn, it is a updated version of SSIS. SSIS is a legacy service. No one is using SSIS nowadays. If a company is using SSIS, they are also moving from SSIS to ADF. So what you learn in ADF, somewhere similar components would have been present in the SSIS. Mostly. May not be end to end, but 70-80% is similar. So it's a legacy service. ADF is a latest service. That's the only difference.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, silence, no. 9:30. Well, let's connect back tomorrow. We'll adhere with that timings, right? 1.5 hours. If you have any other questions, note it down. You may ask in tomorrow's session as well, right? So tomorrow is Friday. You have ample time to ask questions on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well. Until Wednesday, first 5 sessions are always free. Once 5 sessions are done, it doesn't mean that 5 sessions are temporary sessions. We are continuing with that 6th session directly. We are not again reiterating from the session 1, right? So we are continuing with that 6th session with the continuity. So what we are learning is all final. It is not going that this is only for demo. Everything is continued, right? So thank you everyone. Thanks for your time. Let's connect back tomorrow at same time. Have a good day.